Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Agent Accelerator podcast, where modern marketing meets the modern agent. We're going to go through tools, tips, and tricks that other successful entrepreneurs, creators, and agents have used to accelerate themselves and their business. Today, we have a very special guest. His business has gone from zero to literally awesome in a year or two. I've known him for a long time, but recently just in the industry. He just jumped in about 2 years ago, and what he's done in the amount of time that he's been in the industry has been truly impressive. He's a member of our team now, which is fantastic because now we get to be allies and conquer the world together. I'm so excited to interview my coworker and friend, Rigo Romanillo.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thanks for I stumbled through that intro, man. My
Dude,
bad.
that was a great intro. I felt hyped up. I was like, dang.
Oh, thanks, man. I feel like I tripped through the whole thing, but yes, this podcast is. I really want to highlight your wins because I think you've had some tremendous wins, man. I think you've done a lot of really cool stuff. You're doing a lot of cool stuff. You have great ideas, and I think people can really learn from that. And also I want to pick your brain a little bit, learn more from you. But first, as traditional here on Agent Accelerator, to warm things up, okay, I'm going to start with a little icebreaker.
All right.
So tell me about a place that you've been to, the most extravagant or unique place that you've traveled to.
Okay, so unique and extravagant.
Unique more, not extravagant.
Okay.
That's me not knowing vocabulary. Yeah, it's unique is what I'm looking for. Or experience, right? The most memorable.
I think most unique for me was, we took a family trip back in 2012, I think, 2013, to Cancun, right? Mm-hmm. And that's on the Gulf Peninsula of Mexico. And that was great, very touristy, and it's really nice. But then my dad was like, hey, why don't we rent a car, a van, because it was a big group of us. And it's like, oh, let's take a short trip to Chiapas.
Sure, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's further south, right?
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, Chiapas. It's bordering with Guatemala.
Wow.
So and I was like, yeah, that's right here. Turned into an 18-hour drive.
Dude.
But yeah. So that's, a short trip for dads. But when we got there, man,
18 hours?
Yeah. 18 hours. It was great. It was great. When we got there, it's so beautiful, man. It's very untouched. It's very, the nature there is wow. There was these, there's this really famous commercial. I think it's for Corona beer or Coors Light, one of those, the big ones. And they shot it at Cascadas de Agua Azul. And it's these naturally made, beautiful waterfalls.
Yeah.
And it's blue. It's really nice. So we got to go there. And it has a little village that you can rent out little rooms in. So we got to stay there. And then we took a hike through the jungle. Because it's jungle, dude. It's trees and green everywhere. So we went there and we went to another waterfall called Cascada Misolja. And it's this huge, beautiful waterfall, and then you can go behind it, and it's a rock.
Wow!
So you can see the waterfall. It's gorgeous. So I think out of the places I've been where I wasn't exactly looking forward to it. Once I realized, bro, this is an 18-hour drive. We're leaving Cancun to come here, but it was definitely really cool.
Man, vacation within a vacation. You got vacationception.
Yeah, vacationception. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that's probably one of the coolest places I've been to is Chiapas. I definitely want to go back once my kids are older.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's funny. Being a dad now, I think of stuff that I'm like, okay, I want to do that again, but I need to wait a couple years because I want my son to experience it.
100%.
It's really, that's a unique thing. So
yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that with me. I have a question for you. I want to learn more about your background. How'd you end up in real estate, man? I know you. So, fun fact that people may not know, I didn't know this, which makes me sound kind of like a jerk, but I didn't know we went to high school together.
Yeah, we did. You were way too cool for me.
No, that's the part. I just think we crossed paths a couple times, but I didn't. I'm sure I knew at the time, but many years had passed. Rigo and I went to high school together, so we knew each other then. But now we crossed paths in the real estate industry and now we work together. But how did you get to real estate, right? Because I was already working in real estate when you came over and I saw you and you were in the business. But how did you transition there? What were you doing before?
So before, I started in property management. So my dad, my parents are business owners, and they got into real estate investing right around when I was about in middle school. They bought a first investment property. And they kind of just, snowballed from there, doing like, getting equity out of a house and then getting a HELOC and then buying another one and just kind of did that. So when I was out of high school, I went to college. I came back and was like not doing anything. So then my dad's like, you need to work. Like
I love your impressions of your dad. Whenever you impersonate your dad, you do this like deep voice, and it's like you need to.
Yeah, he's intense.
You'll hear a couple of Rigo dad stories this podcast, and you'll notice the impersonation. So what did Dad say?
He was like, "You can't just be playing video games. You need to work. Yeah. I need you to help me collect this rent right now." So then he kind of like pushed me into managing his properties.
Really?
Yeah, and he had a couple at that time, and it was like, very much like old school. Like my dad like knew the tenant and was like, yeah, just come by and drop off the mail, like, or drop off the rent in like my mailbox, And I was like, okay, yeah, like it's cool, but like, how can we make this better?
Sure.
Like how can we make this more professional? So I kind of started learning with him, and I set up systems for him, and he started buying more property. So then I started managing multifamilies with him.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then from there, I transferred over. Well, I still helped him with his properties, but then I was able to connect with other investors, and I started managing their properties. So then I started doing property management, and I got like pretty good at just dealing with tenants and working with investors and having that language. And so as I was working with investors, they were like, "Hey, Rigo, you should get your real estate license. Like, you should get your license. Like,
totally,
you'd be great at it." And I was like, "Yeah. Eventually, I'll do it. Yeah." And I eventually did, I wish I would have done it before. I love real estate. I love what I do, but that's kind of how I got into it.
What a valuable tool you can bring to your clients and people that you work with is just that knowledge you learn from managing those rentals, seeing those multifamilies, right?
Yeah, it's much easier to transition into real estate when you know contracts.
Absolutely. And that's something I like worked with you when you first started in training, right? And I remember that was something you grasped right away was contracts. I would tell you this contract is used for this. And you're like, okay, that was it. Usually there's like 30 follow-up questions.
No, you did such a good job explaining it the first time.
Yeah.
You're very thorough.
No, man. So yeah, the contracts definitely come into play, right? So that was really cool. What other aspects do you think crossed over well?
I think being able to communicate with people effectively, whether it's setting expectations or, helping someone understand something they don't understand, like in a contract, things like that. I think that's an invaluable thing to have in this business because people don't realize a lot of the times is that real estate is a people business. Like you're helping people find their next home or sell their home that they're really invested in.
Right.
So you need to understand how to communicate with them effectively and working with different kinds of people and being able to understand, oh, this person understands this way. This person needs to be, need to be broken down a little more. I think developing that is really important, and it definitely helps in this industry.
Do you remember the first transaction you did or the first client you helped find a home?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about it.
Her name was Laura Osorio, and she was a cold lead that just came in. And
what does that mean?
That means that I did not know her prior to working with her. It was just someone. She actually came in. We were working with Zillow at the time. I was able to connect with her, and she was looking for a home. And I went to go show her the property she was interested in, and that wasn't the one that we ended up offering on. But I was able to connect with her and kind of understand what her needs were. And I remember we found a house on Goldenrod in Escondido on the Flower Streets. And you were mentoring me at that time. I remember it's like my first couple of deals, you were mentoring me. This is why I did so well,
Oh,
yeah, because I was just doing what you said. I remember she was like, yeah, I think we want to offer this. So then I spoke with the agent and I said, hey, this is where we're thinking of coming in. It was a little bit of a fixer. So it was during a crazy market where everything was going over asking. But then I was like, I think we can make this not be ridiculous, like not have a crazy exuberant price. We can make it work just because it needs some work on it. And we ended up putting an offer. It got accepted. And I remember the analogy you told me of how you felt with your very first transaction.
Yeah, man. And that's what tell it because I want to use it to transition.
Yeah. So I remember you said you felt like you were on a bus driving and you had like everyone's like money in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't like, you're like, oh, what do I do now? It's exactly how I felt.
So I'll retell it. It's exactly like that. I remember, and I was fortunate enough that I had mentors like my parents. They'd been in the industry for 30 years and they trained me.
Yeah, that's
But I
awesome.
remember when I first started, I got a transaction. I was helping a client. They found a house. They liked it. And showing the houses for those of you that are just getting started is about 10% of the job.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and that's the part that people, when you ask them, well, why'd you get into real estate? Oh, well, I love showing houses. You know, it's like, I love looking at houses. And that's awesome because you're going to have to like looking at houses. Yes. But like you said, being a people person, having conversations, that's like another 10, 15%. You know, having the skills to read contracts thoroughly to protect your clients, that's another 20%. Back to the bus thing. I remember I told my mom, I feel like I'm driving a bus full of someone's money and I'm blindfolded and don't know where I'm going. Like, I'm just like bumbling along. She was
That's so accurate too.
It is because like, and that's what I want to address here with this conversation is just when people get into real estate, you're just drilled so hard on like, and people who are outside looking in, you may think, oh, all they do is look at beautiful houses and sell.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just not how it operates. And if it is how you operate, then you're not going to be around very long.
Exactly.
You have to build a business based off of caring about people and caring about what you do, which I think you do. And it comes across in what you do and how you speak to people and how you carry yourself. So those things are so important and vital to your business that you can't just be driving a bus, not knowing where you're going. Like that's what you will be doing if you're just thinking you're showing houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So how do you get that? How do you close that gap? How do you take the blindfold off, open GPS up, lock the doors, and know where you're going with the bus?
I think it starts off with understanding your client's needs. You know, if you have an end goal, like, all right, this is my first home. I'd like to close on this home, and this is what I want to do. You know, I want to hold it for 10 years. You know, I want to start a family here, or I'd like to have this eventually be an investment property. Understanding where you're going, you know, like you said, like putting that in the GPS, it just makes it easier to get to that goal. But the biggest thing, man, is having someone to tell you where you're going, which is where mentorship comes in. Because like you told me, hey, you're going to feel this way before I even felt it, you know?
Yeah.
So then when that came, I was like, oh my gosh, like 100%, this is what I feel. But you had already told me, hey, this is what you're going to feel, and this is what you need to do. These are your next steps. Because you get the offer accepted as, you know, an agent, and it's your first one, and you're stoked, and you're like, all right, what do I do now? And you're like, all right, boom, 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 boom. This is what you have to do. So connecting with someone that knows what they're doing and it can help you and cares about your growth is like invaluable. And that I had that, you know, with you. So definitely, I think that helps you navigate that easier. Right?
Sure, close that gap. So I agree. I think I had been in the industry for 2 years and then I joined a team. And that wasn't because the mentors I had weren't teaching me, but they just ran their business differently, right? It was my parents that had been in this industry for 30 years. They're doing different things than a new agent needs to be doing. So I joined a team. I learned a whole bunch of new things that helped me in my business and help how I serve my clients. And that's invaluable. You get to where you need to go faster, right?
100%.
So I know that there's a lot of agents maybe listening to this that they're new. They're struggling to get their first client, or maybe they have their first client, or they've only done one sale, and they're trying to grow their business. I know that you had some success your first year. I mean, you sold double-digit units, which is very rare for new agents. I think that first off, the regular average agent in San Diego County, the average sale is 2 sales in San Diego. San Diego is one of the most competitive markets in the United States. The other one being New York. So yes, if you're selling in San Diego, you're doing a good job. If you got 2, you are the average. If you're doing more than 2, fantastic. You're doing a great job. But you did more than that in your first year, man. Usually it takes people a couple years to get to that place. And for me personally, another thing my mom said to me was, hey, if you're going to be a real estate agent, I need you to have 6 months reserves before you start because you might not get a sale for 6 to 9 months. And that's very true, and you need to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Tell me how you were able to, or let's talk about some of the challenges you faced starting out, and then maybe we can transition to how you overcame them or how you would recommend people address those or go through them.
I think
so common challenges.
Common challenge is like not so much imposter syndrome, but like understanding that this is who you are. You are a realtor. You know, you did all this work to get your license. Shift. Yes. Now act like it.
Oh man.
Now like make that shift.
You're a professional.
Yes.
Act like it.
Exactly. And then one of the things that it's like is hard is for people to identify you as a realtor. You know, because for the first 6 months or so, they're going to see you, you know, on your social media or conversations you have with your family, your friends, and all of that, which is the starting point, your sphere, right? They're going to see you as Rigo that did whatever he did before, right?
Right.
Rigo the property manager, Rigo, you know, XYZ, right?
Right.
They're going to see you as that. It's going to take some time to have them transition in their mind to say, oh, if I'm looking to buy a house, I can talk to Rigo, right? So,
I mean, you were fortunate that what you were doing before also overlapped with real estate, right?
yes.
So it's like people already thought of housing sector and thought of you, but I think like for me, I came from biotech. So it's not like I was promoting my chemicals I'm making. Like today I made a really cool reagent. Like I just didn't do anything. Like I was in a room alone all day. So yes, it's like that. And then before that, I was bartending. So I had like pictures of me at the bar with my buddies. So you have to really audit yourself. I think that's beautiful. 100%. What you're saying is audit yourself. Are you and this is something that took me a while, but I mean, you nailed it right away. That's like, are you someone that you would trust to help you buy a house?
Yeah.
Right? Like auditing yourself and seeing your Instagram, social media. Are you sending out the message that you are a professional, right? What other challenges would you say that you see or that you think you went through?
For me, I hated being on the phone. You know, I hated it, but I think it's important to just get in the habit of doing it and calling everyone, like calling all of your friends, and not in a, like, don't annoy them, you know, but just let them know, hey, this is my new career. I'm doing this now. I want to let you know if you're ever interested in buying or selling, please consider me, you know, give me a call, shoot me a text. If you know anyone that is thinking about that, you know, I'd love a referral, right?
Absolutely.
That's something that can be challenging sometimes because it's just, people are so busy nowadays and you feel like giving a call to someone is like you're bothering them.
Right.
You're like, no, I'll just send them a text. Dude, just call them, you know?
Yeah.
Like if they're your friend, just call them. And like if they don't answer, okay, that's fine. Then you can leave a voicemail
or a text
or a text, you know, but just touch base with them. That's something that was challenging for me. And then also, like, I'm not a big social media person. I'm really not. You know, like I'm more reserved. I'm more introverted, right? So then, for me it's not natural for me to pull out my phone and be like, oh, let me take a picture of what I'm doing. You know,
right?
Like so.
I think a lot of people, it's like not something they're accustomed to, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, treating your social media as a business page is like a challenge sometimes.
Right.
You know, because you have to understand, like, you're going to post this, your friends are going to see it, your family's going to see it, but then prospective clients are going to see it too, you know?
Right.
And they're going to measure your professionalism based off of your posts, based off of the information you put out.
So let's talk about Instagram a little bit. I think Instagram and social media in general is your website now. You know, people aren't going to rigorealestate.com. They're going to Rigo Roma Real Estate, or what's your handle? I just like, is it Rigo Roma?
Rigo Roma Real Estate.
Yeah, so I just know Rigo Roma. I just know that. So, but people are going to your Instagram and they're saying what's this person like? What can I learn from them? Instagram has video. It has videos that you can store. It has reels and it has stories. So I can see what does he do daily? What has he done in the past? And what is he like? You can learn all that within 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something you've leveraged for someone who's being an introvert. You've really, I think, excelled in creating a profile that attracts business, that builds your brand, that tells people what you do, how you do it, and what they can expect when they work with you. Tell me about recent or any success you've had with Instagram or in general. Has it been beneficial to your business? Is that why you pay attention to it?
Yeah. So I was actually earlier this month, I was able to close on my first transaction just on someone DMing me on Instagram. Well, technically, I DM'd them first, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the way it happened is they liked one of my reels, they followed me, so then I have this system that I've set up where I do a follow-up, message, where if someone follows me, I say, hey, thanks for the follow. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you ever have any questions or if you're ready for me to help you with your real estate.
That's genius, because then it makes it is it okay for me to ask questions, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we all have that fear.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes, when you see someone online and you see that they're busy or they're posting a lot and say one of their reels has thousands and thousands of views, it sometimes can be like intimidating. Like, oh yeah, this person, you know, they're busy. Like I can't DM them. I'm just going to get lost in their DMs. You know?
Yeah.
So taking that extra step to just send that message will like make it more personal. So from that, I just, you know, was able to start a conversation with someone that became a client, and they said, yeah, you know, we're looking in this area. Do you have anything that you could show us? And absolutely. Set them up on a search, talk to them, set up a consultation. And within 2 months of meeting with them, I was able to help them close on a home, and that was all through Instagram.
Wow. So you messaged them, thanks for the follow. You set up another showing?
Yeah, so I didn't set up any showings yet, but I set them on a search. And then they said, hey, I like this home, you know? So then I had already did a consultation with them via Zoom.
So you scheduled a consultation.
Yes. Yeah. Talked to them and then set them up on a search, went and showed them a home. That wasn't the one. And then we saw another one, offered on it, got accepted. Boom.
Wow. That's really cool. Like, I think that's the goal when people are creating content, right? And so you proof that it can be done. You can find transactions in your DMs, right? Deals in the DMs.
Deals in the DMs. They're real.
Right. Yeah, they're real. But do you think that someone can make their business just doing that? Or do you think you need to have other avenues?
I think they can if you have a wide enough net that you're casting, right? And you
Tell me more about that.
So the reason that happened, right, is one of my reels recently, it was like a house tour that I posted, blew up, right? So then I had a lot of engagement on that.
What does blew up mean?
It went viral, I guess. Like
what's viral?
Viral was like over 100,000 views.
Okay.
Yeah. So it got like, I think it's like up to 300,000 right now.
Dang.
Yeah, and it basically got a lot of engagement.
300,000.
Yeah, I know, it's nuts, dude.
I think there's like stadiums that maybe this is silly, but like, do stadiums hold that?
Yeah, I think about that too, man. I totally think about that.
That's
like
insane.
Like
so,
putting a physical, you know,
it's
visual.
just. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
like this is, if you send a postcard to 200 people and that's worth your money to do as an agent, is it not worth your time to potentially reach 300,000 people?
100% for free. 100%, man. I think
that's crazy. So tell me, so it blew up and then
it blew up. I got a lot of follows from it. You know, I got a lot of inquiries like, oh, can you, because I didn't put the address on there. And it was like, oh, can you send me the address? So I was sending DMs. Oh, this is the listing. You know, let me know if you want to go check it out. So from that reel itself, I was able to get 4 clients. One of them I've already closed on, and the other 3 I'm actively looking at homes with.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd clap, but I think I'd blow your eardrums out. So that's super cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So that's a big win, dude.
Thank you.
So what kind of reel was that? I mean, is that the only kind of reel you would recommend doing? Or what? First off, tell us what it was, how you did it, and then would you recommend just that content or someone else, someone who's like, I want those kind of results?
It starts off with, so I went to go look at that house because one of my friends messaged me and said, hey, I'd really like to go see this house.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows I'm a realtor, right? And that was and he doesn't have Instagram. He doesn't have social media.
Okay.
He texted me.
Okay.
So the only reason he knows is because I called him and I was like, hey, I'm a realtor now. Let me know if you need help with buying a house.
So I'm sorry. I want to go back to this because before we go too far from it. Great time for edit, cut, re-engage now. I want to go back to that. I want to, if you're comfortable with it, I want to be a friend in your contact who maybe you haven't talked to in a little while and you just got your license, just to role play that conversation. I know, are you comfortable doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. This is the kind of conversation you have. If you're new, if you're a seasoned agent, you've probably done this before. It's not a big deal. If you're newer, just in getting into real estate, this is a great example. So let's go ahead. I'm going to be the friend you haven't talked to in a while. You be Rigo Roma Real Estate.
Okay.
All right. Ring.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Gio. It's Rigo. How you been, man?
Oh, Rigo. Hey, man. Good, dude. What's going on?
Hey, yeah, I'm just giving you a call this afternoon. I just wanted to let you know that I started a new business. I'm actually a realtor. I don't want to bother you or anything, but I did want to touch base with you and let you know that if you ever need my assistance on looking for a home or if you're thinking about selling yours, please consider me, man. And I just wanted to check in with you, let you know that's kind of going on with me, and I want to know what's up with you. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, dude, had a kid. I just bought a new skateboard. Life's good, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's some big commitments there, man.
Yeah, dude. I just figured time to pick up the board, get back out there. So
Nice.
anyways, you guys talk about whatever, but it can be that easy, right?
Yeah.
I think it's all about your tonality. You excited to deliver a message. I just opened up a new business. I really want to share it with you. I'm not trying to bother you. I don't want to sell you anything, but I do know you, and I'd love to be of assistance if I ever could.
Yeah.
That's essentially the message you're conveying, and I think you
Yeah.
did it great. Your tonality, delivery.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. So it's practice, be comfortable, confident. But when someone calls you and gives you good news and they're excited to share with you and they thought of you, how do you feel?
Excited.
Right. And happy.
Yeah,
Like, it's not like I'm
course.
annoyed that you're like telling me about your new thing, as long as you're not pestering me for money right away. Right. Which
Yeah.
as a buyer's agent, you're not. So
Yeah.
like if you called to friends and you delivered a good message and you are genuinely excited to share it with them, it's all about your intention when you call, right? If you're calling for like only to get money, but if you're sharing like, hey, I can do this and I can provide a service to you, I'm excited about that. That will come across and they will be happy and excited for you too.
Yeah. And
right?
I think
Was that the response you got?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, there's some people that, are just like, you can't control the way they react to
Right.
things, and you're like, okay, well, I'm a little busy right now, but thanks, man, and you're going to run into that, and that's
Sure.
fine.
It's part of it.
Yeah, it's part of it. But I think it's like, if you notice, I said what I was calling for immediately.
Right.
Hey, I started a business. I want to let you know. And then I transitioned to a casual conversation,
Yeah.
because you don't want to just call to tell them what you're doing. You want to call and be like, hey, what's going on with you?
Generally, most of these people you haven't talked to in that long, and you're each doing your own thing, but now you have a service and you could help them, right? So
Yeah, dude.
So, man, you've done some pretty cool stuff in your first year, and you did something that I was really impressed with, and I hope you're okay with me sharing this. You just recently not recently, now it's been a year, right? Bought an Airbnb with, your hard work, you planned for it, and you bought an Airbnb. You were faced with the decision with, do I buy my own property or do I buy an Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
And tell me about that.
Okay, so I was originally looking to house hack. So I wanted to look for a duplex in the North County area, right?
Mm.
To live in one unit with my kids, my wife, maybe a house that had an ADU in the back, and then rent out the other. Because I know I wanted my first purchase. I understand that my first purchase was going to be an investment.
Right.
Like, it was also going to be for me, but I understand that I'm more focused on the future,
right,
and building generational wealth.
Right.
And I'm okay with renting right now. I think that's like a stigma, especially with realtors. Like, they just talk so negatively about renting. Sometimes it's okay to rent. If you're in a situation where you're gonna rent to build towards the future, yeah, go ahead. But have in mind that what's the end goal? You want to be paying off your mortgage instead of someone else's, right? But I was kind of going back and forth from like, okay, should I just buy an investment property? No, I'd like to have something for myself. And then I connected by making my calls. I connected with an old middle school friend of mine, Ernest Romero. And
shout out Ernest.
Ernie. I remember I was just, seeing how he was doing, and he was like, yeah, I started a cleaning business. I actually own an Airbnb and PB, and it's great. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah.
Asking about it.
I think everyone's a little bit curious about it, right?
Of course, yeah. And he started telling me, he was very open, which I really appreciate. He was like, these are my numbers. This is what I came in at. This is how much I'm making. All of this stuff, yeah. And I was like, I really appreciated that,
Yeah.
That's why I try to be as open as I can when people reach out to me, because you never know who you're going to affect it positively just by being transparent,
Right.
And he got me on the Airbnb train. He got me thinking like, dude, you can buy a property and like you can make so much more if you're just going to do a traditional rental. That's fine. But like, what about, because he was also like, I told him, this is what I want to do. I'd like to house hack. Like, what if you buy a place and instead of doing a lease on it for like a renter, why don't you do Airbnb that unit?
Right.
So then that was kind of in my mind, right? I was like,
So
okay,
he's planted the seed.
Yeah, I planted the seed. And then as I delved more into all of what Airbnb is and how busy it is, and here in San Diego specifically, it's just, a lot of people come to San Diego every year. I just started seeing more and more, what? Like, I sat down with my wife and I talked to her, 'cause she's my partner. And I said, hey, how are you good with us figuring out, we can rent because at the time we were at my parents' house saving. We were living at my parents' house. Thankfully, they had enough room for us. We had 2 rooms in their house, and we were just saving up. And I said, I'd like to get out of my parents' house because I also don't want to stay my welcome.
Right. You're like, hey, I'm staying here till I buy a house.
Yeah.
Psych, I bought a rental. I'm still staying here.
Yeah, I'm just going to stay here. So then I was able to work out a deal with my dad. Said, hey, let me rent one of your rentals, and I'd like to buy this property and I don't want to live in it. Because I started looking at Airbnbs in the area, potential Airbnbs.
Right.
And I realized I want to buy in San Diego, but I don't want to live in San Diego. Right. So then the idea kind of transitioned into house hack, maybe Airbnb, totally Airbnb, just 100% I was in. And I found this property. I was actually on my way to go see another one that I went to go look at, and I was like, yeah, this is fine. And then on the way back, I was just on HomeSnap looking to see what's in the area, and I found this one, and I was like, oh, I'll go check it out. It was vacant. I hit up the agent, and I said, hey, can I go look at it? And he's like, yeah. I went to go see it, and I was like, yo, this is dope. It's really nice. And I asked him about the property. The seller he had put it on Airbnb for a couple of months, but his wife was moving to his wife had moved to San Francisco because of a job relocation, and he was kind of coming back and forth. So then he was like, I can't be running it. I'm just going to sell it. And basically I was able to close on it. And since he was moving out of town, I said, hey, just leave it furnished. Can I negotiate? Like I offered a little more over asking, and I was able to close on it fully furnished. So I was able to just turn it around and list it. And when I mean fully furnished, I mean like spoons, plates.
I'm glad you started at spoons. I was going to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, like everything, like cloths. Like it
was just ready to go. You could list it the next day.
Yeah, it was ready to go. So that's
wow, what an opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it was very lucky, to stumble upon it.
But I mean, you wouldn't have stumbled upon it if you weren't looking and if you hadn't gone down that avenue of knowing you wanted to do it and then being ready and in the position to do it when the opportunity arose.
Yeah, by that time I was already pre-approved. I was actively looking. Right. I had put in an offer at another place, and it didn't work out. So I think everything happens for a reason. And yeah, so now I've been running that and renting, and I've been able to stay positive on like my net every month since I listed it.
Wow, that's fantastic, man! Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I think we're coming towards the end here, and I want to ask you a question. What advice would you give to a newer agent, somebody who's just coming into the field, somebody who's learning? Maybe they just got licensed. Maybe they have had their license, but they're taking it serious now. Like, what advice would you give to somebody that, or somebody who's struggling? Maybe they've been in the industry for a year or two, and they're still considering themselves newer, but they want to get their business rolling. They want to meet new clients. What advice would you give to them? Maybe a couple tips.
Biggest tip is find someone that you want to work with because you want to work like them. So I decided to join your team because I saw what you were doing, and I had previously worked with you. You mentored me for the first couple of deals, and I was like, yeah, Gio works the way I'd like to work. Gio does things the way I'd like to do things,
Thank you.
And so I think that's really important, finding someone that you can collaborate with. Right, and learn off of, and that has that knowledge of where you want to be, look at where you're at now and where you want to be, right? And another thing is having someone that's accessible. Like, I know if I call you or if I text you, if you don't get back at me like right away, you'll shoot me a text, be like, hey, dude, let me get back to you soon or whatever, right. And it's always been like that ever since I've known you. You're accessible, you're not like you are like super Gio, but. You don't act like it. You're not like, oh, look at me,
No, man.
Yeah, you should though.
Super accessible.
You should, man. You guys don't know, but Gio's a big deal, all right?
Yeah, thanks,
it's a big deal. It's BDG, big deal Gio.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that's one thing is like looking for mentorship that's accessible, that has the results that you want, and that can help you get to where you'd like to get. That's something that's really important.
That's huge, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I think finding a mentor, finding someone who emulates what you want to be like, right? Or most aspects. Mm-hmm. What else?
I think that's like the biggest thing. And another thing is, make sure like, that's like the reason why I noticed that I was successful my first year is because everyone around me knew I was an agent. everyone knew. And it wasn't like I was, being annoying, like I said, but just that like whole saying, like, don't be a secret agent, like
That's
in real
so true,
estate.
yeah.
Yeah. Like it's more people know that you can help them buy a house. Like it's going to be better for your business.
Absolutely.
So
That's such a great tip.
Everyone knew, like, oh yeah, if I want to buy a house or if I'm looking to sell, call Rigo,
So there's a story, when I was younger, I'd come home from school one day, and I would, maybe they were passing out snacks or something. I don't remember the exact situation, but there was like extra. And I was like, man, I would really want one of those extra ones. Like I finished my graham crackers or whatever. And I was like, man, I really could use a second share. Like that would be great. And I didn't. Like 2 other kids got them, right? And I remember I got home, I was like, man, Mom, like so-and-so always gets the extra crackers. There's always like 3 packs left after. She was like, well, did you tell them you wanted it? I was like, well, I kind of like looked over there. She goes, well, remember, like if you're driving a car, you have a cart or a car, and one wheel is squeaking or wiggling, which one are you going to pay attention to? The one that's squeaking or wiggling. Like she would always say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Ooh. So if you're not like letting people know that if you're not a squeaky wheel about your business, no one's going to pay attention to you or do it. You can't over deliver your message.
Yeah.
The more people know about it. Right.
Yes.
And it's funny. Like I always thought of that more just like as an interpersonal skill, like being clear about your expectations, but it really translates to everything. And that's a perfect example. Like you said, you let everyone know you were being a squeaky wheel for your business.
Being a squeaky wheel. Yeah. I was squeaking it up, man.
Squeaky to end that story, I did get more graham crackers though after that story. Yeah. I learned and I was like, you know what? I want those crackers.
You saw those crackers, you started squeaking.
Yeah, I started squeaking.
Yeah, and then something else is like so what I mean is like letting everyone know that you're an agent. Not all my business came from personal friends, but I got connected by them.
I did want to talk about that.
Yeah. So like it's not like you're going to do all your business through your friends. Like most of your business is going to come from people you don't know personally.
100%, right?
Yeah.
It's a client will become a friend faster than a friend will become a client.
It's very true.
And it's the truth because your friends know you before you were an agent. So they're like, Rigo, the guy I used to take shots and drink beers with, is going to sell me a house.
Rigo?
The guy I played video games till 4 a.m. with is going to sell me a house. I don't know. Gio, the guy who like wouldn't ask for crackers at after school day. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no cracker Gio?
Yeah, like, man, it's the guy who I played football with, like that guy's going to sell those friends know you in that capacity, and you have to restructure your identity with them at that point. 100%. Whereas someone who doesn't know you knows you as an agent at that point. So I want to ask you about the importance of networking and meeting other agents. Do you think that attributes to, I mean, that's you kind of went over it with mentorship and stuff, so it is important to meet other agents.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Not only just to learn from other agents, but having yourself like be known in the industry, it's easier to work with people. Like I've put in offers on homes where I know that other agent. I've seen him at a networking event or something.
Yeah.
So when
you're really good at this, actually. I have noticed that about you. This is a skill that you purposely are intentional with remembering people that way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So when they see a familiar face, they'll call you and they'll give you more information on like, obviously what they're allowed to give you. And if they're a listing agent or something like that on like, hey, this is what my client's looking for. If you could make this work with your client, it's much easier to do business that way because there's some trust. And then you just having that expectation of, of being able to work together in the same industry and be able to collaborate is huge.
Absolutely.
If you know who you're working with, it just goes a lot smoother. So I think, networking is huge.
I'm going to pause for a second because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, good? Okay. So networking and meeting people, like it has its benefits. It leads to better connections in the industry, making offers, people you can learn from, right? Like maybe someone's doing something really well and you're like, hey, I really want to just talk to them about how they're doing that.
Yeah.
And if you're a client, you benefit from a well-connected agent too, because your offer's going to get into the stack of, hey, let's look at these versus let's not look at these.
Yes.
Cool, man. I think you've done a lot in your year. I'm really excited to see what you do. I'm excited to have you on board. You are a big reason why we are moving forward with what we're doing at our team here. And
dude, I'm excited to be part of the team, man.
Yeah, it's great. I think we're taking it to new heights. So if you're an agent and you want to connect with Rigo, if I have a question for you, if I'm a client and I'm watching this and I'm like, man, Rigo's really cool, I want to keep following him. What pages do you have? Where can someone find you on socials?
My Instagram is Rigo Roma Real Estate, And, I'm trying to get back on Facebook. Full disclosure, my Facebook is kind of lonely and sad right now, but I'm going to jump back on it.
I've heard that recently Facebook is booming. So there's some great stuff happening on business pages, especially.
Yes.
So, that's cool, man. So people can find you at Rigo Roman Real Estate. Do you have a YouTube or anything? Or are you building that out?
I'm actually looking into building that out. Yes.
Cool, man. Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's just Rigo Romanillo.
Okay. Well, don't check it out yet.
Don't check it out yet, because you're gonna see like random gaming stuff from like a year ago, 2 years ago. I mean, if you're into that, well, go ahead. But
I think people would love getting to know you, man. So don't worry about that. So I'm excited to see what you do, man. I think you're on a great trajectory. You've done some awesome things, and you're only gonna do more awesome things. You take excellent care of your clients and your family. So hope you guys enjoyed talking to Rigo as much as I did. If you have questions for either myself or for Rigo, please just DM either of us. We'd be happy to answer your question. I think both of us are accessible, and we would be happy to help. So thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you listening, and I really appreciate you being here today, Rigo. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely.